Okay, so welcome back to mobilephonetraining.co.uk. For those of you that have just joined us, this is part 2 of 2 videos about the video camera settings on the LG Viewty or KU990. We'll have a video response. It's probably best if you checked out video settings number 1 first before you jumped onto number 2. But for those of you that haven't watched number 1 already, welcome back. So I said to you before, we've got this cog at the bottom, which is the settings key. If we tap the settings, what you'll see, again like the camera settings, the first thing you're shown, so to speak, is the image size or the resolution. The lowest that it goes into is QSIF, which is 176 by 144, but the highest it goes into is widescreen at 640 by 384. Now, it's worth noting at this stage, for those of you that have become very familiar with Viewty, Viewty has a phenomenal editing suite. Now, the key thing to note here is that if you record at 640 by 384 widescreen, you will not be able to edit this video. So in terms of saying editing, you couldn't trim it, you can't add a different effects to it, you couldn't merge it, you couldn't create your own montage with the video. However, if you record in 400 by 240 WQV mode, which is also wide, which is also another widescreen mode, you can edit in that format. So 400 by 240, you can edit in that format. Both the top two, wide 640 by 384 and WQV mode, which is 400 by 240, record in what's known as DivX format automatically, which is absolutely brilliant because it gives you perfect clarity in a very, very small video file size, which is very good. Again, like the camera settings, you always have to press save to make sure it registers your request and keeps it, and it displays that by showing you a little tick box next to whatever you selected. Next to that, you've got the image quality, or video quality, shall we say, which is going to be super fine, fine or normal. I always go for super fine. If you jump back into settings, then you've got here what kind of duration you want, and this is really good because sometimes you're not sure whether you recorded it too long to send it as a picture message or not. Well, quite clearly here, the Viewty has the ability to say to you, okay, if you want it in MMS, you can choose MMS and press save, and then you can record in MMS mode, and it will only allow you to record up to a certain duration before it will stop allowing you to record. I'm going to pop it back into normal. Jump back into settings again. You can quite funnily, you can mute or unmute the sound of the video player. So mine's on unmute at the moment. So if I hit save and then press record, you'll hear the sound. So that's the sound of the video recording coming into effect. And if you press it, if I press it now, then that's the sound of it stopping from video recording, which is quite cool and quite quirky. The other thing that I wanted to show you was if I go into mute and I press save and I've muted the sound, you'll notice that it has the mute button there at the top. So I can press record and unrecord. Now, ours is an early production sample, so once you've muted and unmuted the sound on your final sample, then you shouldn't hear any sound whatsoever, which is quite cool. Again, jump into settings, press save there, so I'll mute it there. So that's about the sound, whether you want to record sound or not. So just remember, if you don't want to record sound, you can jump in here and obviously mute it. If you want to record sound, make sure it's always on unmute. White balance. Again, just like the camera settings, you've got incandescent, sunny, fluorescent, and you've also scrolled down to cloudy. I always leave it on auto because it allows the camera to adjust itself depending on the environment you're in. Color tone, just like normal cameras, you can choose from black and white, which is quite, black and white, so it's simple. Negative, which is always quite different and quite quirky. Sepia gives it the old style, the look orangey kind of look. This one's just really cool. Emboss, which is kind of like a ha-ha video or something. It's quite cool, very, very quirky, very different, and it adds a different element to some of your videos depending on what kind of video editing you wanted to do. Now, jumping back into settings again, you have the ability to record yourself, believe it or not, for those of you that love yourselves. By pressing that option there, and you'll be able to see me there. So you'll be able to see me there on the camera by literally pressing that key, and you can jump in and jump back out of it. It's entirely up to you. But once you've done that, it drops the resolution, as you can see there, down to 320 by 240, which is QVGA. So I'm going to pop it back up into the widescreen mode. Other thing to bear in mind is obviously the memory use. So by pressing this key here, it tells you whether you want it internal memory or external memory. So if I choose handset memory, you'll notice on the toolbar it will show a handset. And if I jump back into settings and go to external and then press save, you'll notice it shows me some kind of memory card or SIM card like kind of design there to show it's going to store it to the memory card. So that's pretty much the settings done for the LG Viewty or the LG KU990. Very cool, very quirky phone. I know you're going to start to do some recordings and some videos on it. As promised in our last video, what we do promise to do is put some slow motion video recording on there for you, which was by tapping the 120 frames per second, just to show you what that can do for you. And the other thing is, when we go into gallery, which is going to be our next video, we've got a heck of a lot to cover inside there, and to also cover the video and the imaging editing suites. So a lot to cover, plenty more to go on to. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is mobilephonetraining.co.uk.